Perfect.
Welcome, 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 everybody. That perfect introduction. We had Saint's video in, we had the count in. We've got a special guest with us today, and then my voice decides it doesn't want to work right away. So, Saint, welcome. Bo, Bayliner Simp, welcome, y'all. Ray, got you here. Thank you all for joining us and everybody else who's coming on. Today, I said, hey, we've got this ambassador program. If you're not aware of it, it's just people that are active, people that want to help promote what we're doing, share the information, be a little bit more involved. And so I invited Hux 2012. You know him as Hux 2012. You see him in the comments. He's got a jet boat up in Minneapolis or just outside of Minneapolis?
Just outside Minneapolis.
So he's up there. Just bought a Yamaha jet boat. This is his first boat. He just really went out for his first time 3 weeks ago, maybe. And
Yep.
So he's here. He's going to chime in with some comments, and he's also created a tool that I want to share with everybody. We'll walk you through it. If you want a copy of it, he was kind enough to say, hey, yeah, if just shoot me an email and we'll send you that. But he's going to walk through it here. I'm going to run through the comments. We got Saint, Chrome, Saint and Bo is here. So we've got let's see who else we've got. We've got Bayliner Simp. I haven't seen you before, but great to have you. That may be all the same. We got Hux who's with us as the special guest. Inflating my views. And then Ray, who's usually the first one in, is coming in still before we got on. But good to have you guys. And 7 years old. So, and we got Brock. I invited Brock to be a guest on today as well. We were going to have Charlie and Brock, but Brock is heading back from, I want to say Florida, maybe, where in his club fishing, he actually brought home first place with what did he say? He texted, maybe he emailed me. Let's see what he said. I thought it was 50 some pounds. 53 pounds, I think, of fish that he brought in. So, come on in, hurry up, do it quickly. And we also have it's summertime. So not only do we have, well, like I said, Charlie, not professional at all, but a bunch of guys. All right. Shut the door and get out now. Thanks. So that's my work environment. They asked if they could come in and say hi. So I didn't realize we were getting a little dance. But anyway, Brock had a great outing, came in first at the tournament. So he's heading back. Bill W., welcome. Glad to have you. Brian Boyles, welcome. We talked about Brian last week when I showed, I think, the picture of him and his grandson on their new Sun Tracker pontoon. Let's see who else we got. Mark Ferguson checking in. Good to hear. Mark has, I think I've emailed with Mark before, but glad to have you. And let's see, Michael McEwen. Boating is a family affair. 100% agreed. As you see, that is my two girls and then a neighbor girl who was just overplaying. So, oh, and we missed Daryl Roberts. So, welcome, Daryl. Glad to have you. And all right, so Charlie, tell everybody what you want to tell them about yourself, but show them that
Sure.
that spreadsheet that you put together, and go ahead and share your screen and just take it there. Brock says he's got 2 hours to go of driving still, so he's listening in on the phone.
Perfect. So one of the aspects of what I was looking at is we all are, right? Every day on the news, you hear $5 gallon gas. Gas is going up, keeps going up. So what I wanted to do was look at this in a different perspective. So what I did was I came into this summer season before we heard all about gas prices, blah, blah, blah. Last year when it was about this time, showing up at a dealership, slapping that money on the counter and saying, I'm putting my down payment on. So I put a $200 budget in for fuel, figuring 50-gallon tank, $200, $4 a gallon. Rough estimate, right? So then what I did was kept hearing these gas prices going up. So what I thought was, well, what would happen? What is these little changes in gas prices? So what I did was I just set up a simple columns over here showing down the various gas prices and then various volumes of gas that you would be adding. So in this case here, I was targeting the $200 price point. So if I go out, burn up all my fuel, coming back with my tail between my legs, heading over to the SA there to add more gas, it's going to cost me $200 is what I was expecting. Well, what was interesting is if gas went up to $5, which we know it's going up a little bit higher than that, it's only a $50 shift in your cost. So as you would put it, Captain Matt, you're going out there to have fun, a good time. And if you look at this, a $50 change, burning 50 gallons of fuel for a fun weekend, you can spend that at a Five Guys restaurant picking up a couple burgers and fries.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what this was doing was to kind of calm my nerves down. And it's funny, too, because I work with a bunch of engineers, and then they started converting my charts over, and they go, well, this is how much it's costing us to drive to and from work. That wasn't the purpose. It was more or less for all you boaters out there.
Yeah.
How it's going.
Well, that's I think it's a perspective that non-boaters can't wrap their heads around it. They're like, it's so expensive. The reality is, if it's going to be $200 to fill up the tank, $250 for most people that are successful enough to have bought a boat and enjoy the lifestyle, that $50, I can easily not go out to a restaurant. We were just at Fripp Island, and we didn't eat a meal that was less than $100, with the four of us, because it was, desserts and whatever, but on vacation. But it really, the gas prices matter, but they don't matter as much as it does to somebody that's barely getting by and on their daily driver. Now it costs them an extra $200 a month. That's a different story than somebody that, hey, you got some savings, you're able to enjoy the lifestyle. And I think that was a great visual. I had a sense you might be an engineer or be around engineers when I saw that in my inbox. So and like Brian says, it's tough to measure happiness per gallon. When I started selling, one of the managers would say, "Oh, the smiles per gallon that you get," and it's exactly why all of us have gotten into the boating lifestyle, is because it's an enjoyment. It's fun. It's like a vacation that you spend 5, 10, 20 grand on. You didn't do it because it's going to give you a financial return. You're not going to come back and have 25 grand in the bank. You're going to have relaxed, and you're going to have a smile on your face, and you're going to have some stories, and you're going to have some memories with your kids or your spouse or your friends. That's what it's about. Now, Charlie, you're a new boat owner. So tell everybody a little bit about some things that maybe you've discovered in addition to how are you liking it?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So if you remember I think it was maybe 2 talks ago, I put on the chat, buying a boat is like picking out your game piece to play a game. The
Yep.
reason why I use that as a metaphor is literally the boat is just the stepping stone of what you're getting yourself into. The funny thing is, when we were at the boat dealership there, we're looking at all these boats. They have all these cabin cruisers to cigar type boats, pontoon boats. And I'm kind of looking at all these boats going, wow, this is cool. This is cool. But then I was smart enough to ask the dealership, I own a Traverse. What's my limitation? There's where we
up a little
moved
bit.
from, here you can get this pontoon boat. It looked like a house, basically. It was all fiberglass, stereos, kitchen. Like, I don't think my truck could pull that.
Yep.
So that was just the entry of it, picking out the game piece. Then you have the patience of now you picked out your game piece. Now you got to wait. In these times, right? You put your money down, you wait. Dealership kind of said, well, you could get it in July, maybe August. Maybe if, the 8 people in front of us on the wait list deny. Woohoo! Not going to happen. So I have another spreadsheet that's up on that showed how much I spent in 2021 before the boat even arrived. Just going out there. So the excitement, the first thing my family did, wife and daughter came home. They were excited. They pulled out a Big Bertha 2.
$400, $500. Boom.
Boom, right there.
Yep. But how much fun is that thing?
Well, here's the kicker. So I live 3 miles from the Mississippi, about 8 miles from the St. Croix River. So we live right in the Crook. Prescott's just down the road, probably about 15 minutes away. So right by all the rivers. The river's just now finally got to 79 feet. The river is no wake anything greater than 80 feet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the first day out on the boat was exciting. The river was at 79.5 feet. We went out on a Friday afternoon, did the break-in period, left our launch area. It was a state park. Went all the way up through Hudson, Wisconsin, worked our way up to Stillwater. Got my break-in period kind of already in. Now I could play with the throttle. That's where the excitement became, and the family was really excited.
Yeah.
We just opened up the throttle. We got it up to about 3/4. You've seen some of the pictures, choppy Whitecap River.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was getting a little nervous around 41. You have the big cabin cruisers going by, Those are the things that scare me, those big cabin cruisers, and they send those rollers back at you.
Yep. Well, I remember a couple weeks ago your question about how to handle those that are coming at you, and I'm working on the video to answer that. I need to get the right conditions this summer to do it. So let's answer Bo's question here.
Yep.
What kind of gallons per hour are you getting? Because I know you track it. I know you know it off the top of your head on that.
Yes. So right now,
it goes to a spreadsheet.
It goes to my spreadsheet over here, and right now for 10 hours of burn time, I chewed up 21 gallons.
Okay.
So that is mixed driving. When we're trolling, I'm barely burning any fuel at all. 5 miles an hour, no wake mode. Hands are off the control. The boat's just driving. I just have to keep the steering wheel going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So as I turn off that mode, now I got to keep both hands on the throttle. And that was one of the surprises with a dual jet, is that you got to keep your eyes on the tack. I was surprised how much the boat was pulling. I'm going, why is the boat pulling? Then I look, one sitting at 5,000, the other one was sitting at 5,500,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that was more than enough to start drifting the boat over. So then I had to keep the hands on the throttle and keep it balanced.
You'll get comfortable. I don't remember running the jets, but on prop boats, you'll hear the RPMs, you'll hear them harmonize where you get them, and you can do it by sound over time. And I want to say I did the same thing with the jets when I was running the Yamahas, but you'll get that feel of just you'll hear it, and yeah, we're right on the money. When you run big cruisers, it's the same thing. Is one might run a little bit higher, but you'll hear it harmonize, and you're like, got them synced up. And Bo, for the prop boats, the jet boats, they say they're a little bit more fuel efficient. Actually, the reality is they're so close. And if you've got a jet boat, you're going to get on it a little bit more. Yeah, I'll say, I don't know if Charlie would agree with this, but my gut tells me you're driving that thing for fun, not to keep the RPMs down and get that gallon per hour burn from 19 down to 12. Like if I'm running a pontoon, I'll get it up on plane and I'll have my gallons per hour burn down to like 9. But if I'm running a jet boat, I don't even pay attention to it. I'm just running and having fun. So, but they are, when you compare it apples to apples running, the jet boats are slightly more fuel efficient. So Brock says he spent $257 the past 2 days of the boat, $75 in the truck to get there, $75 to $50 when I get home. So yeah, it does add up. Ray's got $6.55 a gallon in northern Indiana. I don't know, what is it there in Minnesota? Do you remember? And you fill up on the street, right? On the trailer.
Yeah, I just pull right up. The marina I heard last was $7.45 out of the Afton Marina. So that's usually about $2 higher. So I'm going to guess it's about $5.40 a gallon.
Yeah. Okay. And I think I know Ray's on the water, and I'm assuming that's on the water price for him as well. Here's how oblivious I am. I know it's high, but it's not going to impact what I do. I filled up on Memorial Day weekend, and I didn't even look what it was per gallon. I just fill it up because that's what you're going to do. Bo is also looking at this Bayliner 642, which is a cuddy cabin. And that makes more sense that it's got a 4.3 liter with the Alpha drive. I was surprised when you said it had the 5. What did you say? 5.7 maybe with the Bravo. That seems pretty good. That's awesome that it's running well. And that you liked it, because I know that's exactly what you'd been looking for. All right, Jason, welcome, Jason. Jason invested in one of my programs. I don't even remember what it was the other day. It must have been Best Boat Captain. A hydrophase ride steady system is not only great for water sports, it's fantastic because it will sync the 2 motors, RPM. Lifesaver on my last Yamaha. Okay, that's interesting. Have you looked into those at all, Charlie?
No, not yet.
Okay, that Jason, tell us a little bit more about that if you don't mind, because I could have swore, and you don't have a sync button on yours. You're telling me.
Yeah, it has the no wake mode where you can actually program 3 cruise settings.
Okay.
Right now they're all from 10 miles an hour, 7 and 5.
Maybe it was just on the limited. I thought one of them had a sync mode on the twin engines, but maybe I'm not. I ran so many different boats, and it's been a while since I've run a Yamaha. Although, Charlie, I will be out on. I'm connected with the lady that's here in the Charlotte area on Lake Wiley, and I'm going to go out with her next week to train her on her boat and use that to shoot the jet boat. Now hers is a single engine, so I've got to get the twin engine too. But we're getting there. We're getting everybody covered. Doing the coastal in the next 2 weekends, getting that done, and then doing the inboard and the twin engine as well. So
I'm gonna guess that was the 212S model.
it could have been, because I know I remembered one that did it. I just had it in my head that all of them did it. So all right, so let's see. Only the new E series have the sync from the factory. Okay. So yeah, that's something you may want to check out if you're a Yamaha twin engine. That synchronization hydrophase ride steady system. Jason, how much is that, so that Charlie can add this to his how much his boat is costing him after he bought the boat spreadsheet? Get that in there too. Yeah, and like Brian says, added vessel view to the pontoon, barely burning any gas. That vessel view is an interesting tool with the you can save all of your data and everything like that. And let's see, have to recheck last weekend, 2 gallons per hour. Now, Brian, if I remember right, was a Tritune with the 150, or I think that's what he had. He sent me the picture of him with his son on the front of the boat, but I don't remember what was on the back end of it. So that's Brian. He runs up in some lakes up in West Virginia. Hard part's going to be convincing Cheyenne that she's worth 40 grand. I assume Cheyenne's your wife, our girlfriend. But so let me know if I can help. I'll create a special video for you on how to why boating is so valuable and why it's worth every cent to invest. So I'm working on pontoon with the 150. That's I thought it had the bigger motor on it. One of the next videos that I'm working on is the best foods to take on the water. So that's I need to, the next one after that, I can come up with how to convince your spouse or just say you got to do it. All right. So Jason says 1,200 to 1,300 headed on my 2010 AR 240. Completely changes the jet boat experience with twins. My new 2019 242 LS has it from the factory. Okay. LSE series. Okay. And I assume it's all digital, so they can add that. They can add that after the fact. I'll have to do a little more research on that. I'm not familiar with that system. So, all right, let's see what Ronnie Eubanks has to say. My friend bought a 2001 side console with the Mercury 2-stroke. Steering was horrible. Good news, may sell it due to the cost of repairing. So, Ronnie, that's awesome. Well, I should say awesome for you. Not so great for your buddy. But a couple of things. If the steering is tight, I'm going to assume it's a cable steering side console. When you've got the tight steering, and I want to say, Aaron from Born Again Boating, he's got a channel. He's down in the Keys, and he's a certified technician. He's got an awesome channel. Check it out if you haven't. But he's got a video on this. But if you want to try to diagnose, look for kinks or bends in the line. That's going to keep that steering from moving easily. If you can grease it, that's another thing that you might be able to, without having to replace that steering cable completely. And I want to say he's done a couple videos on it. If you search on his channel, I'm almost certain you'll find something. And the other one that I would check out would be Dangar. I think it's Dangar Marine. Dangar Stu is the guy. He is in, I think it's New Zealand, but he's a tech that gets into everything. He's been doing YouTube videos for like 10 years, maybe. You got a ton of content out there, and I'm certain you can find something there that would be valuable for you. A very knowledgeable guy. I like he's not over the top. He's just here it is. He's got a really easy personality. Charlie, have you ever watched any of those two channels?
Not those two, but I have watched several other, and I just started getting into one where it's salvaging boats that have been basically abandoned, power wash, rebuild. They're all the center console style. Watch
Is
the
that a young kid down in Florida
Yeah.
that does it? Dark hair.
Yep.
Yep, he's got some really good stuff. And he kind of just does it out in his front yard, it looks like, almost.
Yeah, it's just kind of comical watching him tear out the seats, throwing everything in his yard. And at
Yep.
the end, it's just amazing how he can bring them back to life. And like you mentioned, the steering. One of the videos I was watching, he actually put the cable in backwards. So right was left and left was right as he went out.
I got to tell you, that's going to be a difficult docking situation. I don't think Best Boat Captain's going to help you there.
Exactly.
No way at all. Derry Roberts, I think he said his name was Daryl in a comment earlier. I'm about to pick up my second boat, 2015 24 Sportsman with a 250 Yamaha. That's awesome. That is the boat that that Brock has, or close to it. I think his is a 2019 247, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it's the Masters and not the Open. But it's a nice boat. I've been to the Sportsman Factory, know several people that have worked there and do work there. I think that's a good, you get a lot of boat for the money with them, and it's a good quality boat. Not the top of the line by any means, but a nice quality boat that you can get a lot of fun out. So congratulations on that, man. It's going to be a good summer. Let's see, on a school topic, we finally got 150 force engine, take it apart, starting to see why they stopped making them. that is one thing I wish I knew more of. And I've got a tech buddy that told me that I could come out with him while he was doing some of the work, and just sort of watch him and do some videos of him doing basic maintenance. I haven't had the time to get out there and do that with him, but I would like to learn even more about the wrench turning side of things. My dad was very mechanically inclined. He did all of the work. My brother is fairly handy, and does a little bit of stuff on his boat. I don't have that gene as well. It might have skipped me somehow or another, but I would like to dive in a little bit and learn from somebody so I can share some of that information. Let's see, in 2001 with stock cable steering probably needs replaced. Okay. So that, my 95 ProCraft made it to 2015 change, greased them twice over the years. Good while it lasted. So, I don't know. Let's see, who was that? Ronnie, are you in saltwater? Are you in saltwater or freshwater? Because I wonder if that will make a difference. I would have to guess it would, a little bit, but you're right. That was that 20 years, 21 years. That's quite a while especially if it hasn't been greased or taken care of. So, what else, Charlie, have you, as we wait for some more questions to come in, if you're new, to the live, you can just see how it goes. Just put your question in. We'll get to it. If you're a member or you support us, it'll give me a little note, and I'll try to get to yours quicker. It'll pop up and give me a notification that there's a supporting member asking a question. But while we're waiting for the next round of questions to come in, Charlie, this is a question I like to ask of new boaters, is what surprised you or what was unexpected that came out of becoming a boater, either in the buying process or since you've owned it and been out on it? Good, bad, either side.
So the good, the bad, and the ugly is the experience on the water. I was considered a river rat when I was a kid, being so close to both rivers. I mean, we swam, we played, always on fishing boats, 25 horsepower Merc motors on little 14-foot fishing boats, banging around, The surprise was when you get into a bigger boat, how they handle. That caught me off guard. a little bit. I was pretty good
When you
with
say how they handle, what specifically jumps out at you?
coming straight at a dock at 5 miles an hour gets your heart racing. That I will tell you.
Especially when you just wrote a big check for it too. That adds a little extra thump, I think.
Gets that heart going like crazy, and that's one of the things that it took me a little bit. I would say maybe during the 2 hour shakeout to chase out all those cobwebs of just the steering itself, because there's always a delay in the wheel. If you're 25 horsepower, you turn that boat's turning. Pontoon boat, you're not going that fast. You're just turning and adjusting. I'm talking 94, the older pontoon, the granny fence around may or may not have a cooler as a chair. But that was what was kind of surprised, was just the slight delay, and then how it just constantly does this as you're making corrections. If you're trying to make a correction as you're driving a big old car with power steering, you're heading for the shore for sure.
Yep.
The other thing was a surprise was actually, and it was a fun surprise, how fast the boat really could get up and going. Luckily, the Wisconsin DNR was a little bit kinder to me on that one, because the first day out, like I said, Friday, we're well below the no wake. That Sunday, we launched out again, came into the Prescott area, went through the no wake, got through, passed the buoys, dropped throttle, took off, went around the bend, and it's like, okay, I'm getting near my marker, so I'm going to slow down. Saw the DNR finally catch up, and they're like, this is a no wake. That was another surprise. So one of the apps,
was it no wake because of the water level?
The water level.
Okay.
Yep.
How do they mark that? Do you just have to know what the water level is, or do they have a notice at the ramps, or is it?
They usually try and post the signs, but the river was really high this spring, and I was actually surprised. I looked at the boat launch where I launched out of, and I didn't realize that this hard right turn that you had to make to go in and out of the boat launch area was because there's actually a sandbar there protecting the boat launch area. That's completely under, and I just went straight out and through. So what I found was the NOAA website.
Yep.
They actually, you just type in where you're going to be. They actually give you feeds. One of the feeds I download now is the St. Croix feed.
Oh, okay.
And they give you a nice plot of the river, the projected level, so you kind of know about what day the rivers are going to be wake or no wake.
Okay, interesting. So that NOAA app can be valuable for that. That's interesting. That's interesting. I've never been on I take that back. We boated on the Missouri River a lot in Nebraska. I grew up in Omaha, and I do remember, but in our area, they wouldn't even open the ramps if it was too high. I don't remember the no wake coming and going, and you still being able to boat. That's interesting. Interesting. All right, so let's see. Michael McEwen asked, when did Vessel View come out? 2004, they had the Vessel View gauges. Yep, with the Smart Craft. They came out with, I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to show this. The Vessel View app, Michael, that they came out with that runs off your smartphone. I think they released that 2 years ago, maybe slightly longer. It was when they first came out with it, it was very expensive. I think it's come down significantly, but the people that, I guess it's thinking, trying to find a price here. Oh, they're not going to give it to me. I think it's come down considerably, and I know they've done some specials on it, but the app portion, I think, is in the last 2 years. that's come out. But Brock's exactly right. That technology, all of this information has been available to come out of the motors, but they were just showing it on the vessel view gauges and the screens. And now it's going to your phone app, and it's additional functionality that's there as well. So let's see here. What else has come in? Bo talking about the force motor. Now, for those of you that don't know, I don't know if this was in the comments last week or if this was in an email he sent to me. But Bo is going through the Marine Mechanics Institute program. So he's actually in the process of getting certified as a Marine technician. And they had a Force 150 come in so they could dive into it and kind of dissect it a little bit. So it's interesting that that there's all those small adjustments that make those. If something's out of adjustment, it can be a nightmare and can really ruin the engine. So it's why those are on my list of engines and motors not to buy. So yeah, the vessel view, when they went to the digital throttle and shift, the DTS, that's when they going from an analog system, which, you had the water shooting up the tube to show you your speed, and going to the digital, where they actually gave them the options to show different data, so gallons per hour burn, and different things like that. That's when it all started going that direction, and now they've put that same content on the app. Truck driver, good to have you. Truck diver, I don't know why I can't say your name. You've been on the last 4 or 5, probably more than that, live, so I'll get it eventually. My buddy's 250 works with the original vessel view gauges. That's a 05. 2004 was the first they got working for outboards. Got them almost a year later. Interesting little history. About 150 installs in minutes. Yeah, I've had a couple people. I had a guy that from Nebraska, actually, that she said her husband got it and they were having a hard time getting it to go. But Brian, you're telling me that on your 150, I think, is yours a 4-stroke or is yours the Pro XS? They were having a hard time getting it, but my gut tells me they weren't super tech savvy, and had issues. But installs in minutes, that's a good thing. And I'm hearing the people that run that really like the data. They really enjoy it. It's something that, like, Charlie, for you, with that kind of engineer data mindset, that really, gives you a lot to dive into if you want to. And it also gives you some other things that, just as, like, for myself, I am a zero detail kind of guy. I'm a big picture. Let's look at the whole thing and just go do it. I am tracking is something that in details, maybe you can tell by the way I run this live and everything else I do, that I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. But there's even data on there that I think guys like me would find valuable as well. And just gives you can look at your boat data while you're not even on the boat. How can that be bad?
That's something I would enjoy.
Yeah. I don't know. Yamaha's got something that they just came out with, and they're moving all theirs to digital. I don't know if it syncs with the jet, with their jet boats or not. But I know on the outboards they're coming out with something similar. Let me see if I can Yamaha digital outboard app and my Yamaha outboard. I don't know if it's as detailed. I know Mercury has spent a lot of R&D into it, and I don't know how the Yamaha compares, but I did thought they have. So it's called my Yamaha outboards, if you're an outboard Yamaha guy, I would assume at some point the jet boats will come into it. But 154 stroke, okay, mine floating in the lake in minutes. That's the way. I'm a scientist, so I love data. You and Charlie, the engineer and the scientist. I remember doing work on your boat while you're floating in the water is the best place to do it. I remember as a kid, I worked at a marina my freshman year of college, and I don't know whether my parents were dumb or whether they just trusted my brother and I so much that they said, "Yeah, you can keep the boat there." And you guys can use it. Just be responsible. So I'm 18 years old. My brother's 20. And they said, yeah, you can have the boat there, use it. And then we'll just come up and it'll be easy for us too. And so I would go out and float in the water and put in new speakers and do all sorts, clean it and whatever. And that was a fun summer. That was a good summer.
Now, do you know if Yamaha has motor readers or data loggers that you can plug in to read?
They will have the computer, like a tech will have a computer, but it's like $5,000 or so for the computer and the software, and they're engine specific. I don't know if they would have anything that's consumer focused. Gotcha. But they do have like a port that you can pull data out when they're doing diagnostics, but it's more for tech stuff than like the Vessel View or the Yamaha outboard app that would give you some of the consumer type focused data.
Because one of the curiosities would be, temperatures of the motor comparing to the fuel burn rate.
Okay.
Trolling or putzing at no wake speed, the motors are warm. Am I getting better efficiency? Do I get better efficiency when the motors are cooler? Getting the, what is the burn rate of the fuel to air ratio? And, because the oil is going to have a lower viscosity as you heat up, which is, should give you less drag on the pistons, which should, drop your fuel burn rate. But it was kind of curious, ambient air temperatures and motor temperatures. Could you pull all that information in?
I no idea, and no, not only no idea on can you do it, but no idea on the impact or anything. So yeah, I've got nothing for you on that. Let's see here. My Sportsman has the Yamaha linked with the Garmin's, pretty nice as well. Like the Mercs a little bit better. So he runs on his bass boat. He runs the Merc. On his Sportsman, he runs the Yamaha. So that's a nice comparison there. Let's see. Snake GS, Miami, another 7-inch Garmin display. So what Snake GS, what do you have? What boat do you have? Is it the Yamaha jet boat? Charlie, do you have a Garmin display in yours?
No, it just has the built-in Yamaha display.
It's, okay, just the gauges.
Yep, the two analog pack and then their digital screen.
Okay. So Snake G, tell me which boat you have, and a 7-inch on. I'm trying to think on that dash if you've got. Let's see. Did I miss? Oh, okay. Yeah, truck driver. I'm gonna get to that here. Let me finish up. I skipped it. You're right. Thanks for the quick reminder. Yeah. While I'm waiting on Snake to respond, I'll go to the Shero video. So here's my take on those. Is they are far superior to the Mercury and the Yamaha props, and far superior than the other aftermarket, than the Suzuki props, than those. Here's the problem. When I talked to them at IBEX, the International Boat Builder Expo in Tampa, I was talking to them at the booth, and they said they're very customized. So what they have to do, because if you don't know what the Shero prop is, let me pull it up. they were advertising a ton. They were advertising a ton last year. I haven't seen them this year so much. I think they've caught on enough, but they're $5,000 a prop, and they've got this cutout right here. Now, here's the way it was explained to me: is that's going to give it less slippage. What slippage is the pitch of the prop. Let's say it's 21, will go 21 inches in a full rotation. Now, that's the theoretical distance it should travel if it was going into a solid object, okay? 21 pitch would go in 21 inches in one rotation. The reality is, in the water, the props will slip, and they can also get like vortexes, I think might be the right, at the edge, which gives you maybe 19 inches through water versus through a solid object. So what the Sharrow propeller's done is, one, they reduce that slippage, and two, they don't cause those vortexes at the tips of the propeller, which then makes them more fuel efficient. And I think some of the data is saying up to 30% better fuel efficiency, improving performance, and several other advantages. Now, you're also talking $5+ grand, and that was, let's see, order now. Let's see if it gives us a price. So the reservation deposit is $500, if you can see that. And then the prop itself is, okay, so still $5,000, $499, 99, and you can get on the list for 500. So what they have to do is they have to match the propeller to the boat and motor, so that it's not like Mercury can say, all right, we're going to cast this, and it's going to be a 21-inch prop, and that can go on these 3 engines or whatever. This has to be, we're going to cast it for that motor and for the boat, because I guess the hull design makes a difference, the way I understand it. And so until they get everything templated and they can start building them in a more mass fashion, they're going to be very high. But when I talked to them, they kind of alluded to the fact that once we get all these done, we should see the price come down significantly, because we'll have all the molds built, or however, I assume they're building them out of molds or whatever. We'll have all that done, and then we can just start producing them. But there's a very heavy R&D cost. There's also a very manual, or a high labor cost, I guess would be the right way to say it, to build these. And obviously they're still doing the deposits today, which tells me that they don't have the production ramped up. They've dropped off. They've made their claim. They've got enough boats out there in the market that they can get their data in. And then as they get the right templates built, I would assume in the next year or two, we'll see them kind of push out again. Is it worth $5,000? Maybe. If you're a captain, you know, if you run a charter boat and you run it a ton, if you put 500 hours on a year, maybe. But for me, that it's a high price to pay for that efficiency if you don't run your boat a ton. So that's kind of my take on it. I'm curious if anybody has one or is running one. Brock, if you know of anybody running those, I don't know in the bass boat circuit if they would be running a $5,000 stainless steel propeller, because that's the other thing. You think you're upset if you ding up your aluminum prop or your stainless steel prop. Now you ding up your $5,000 stainless prop, and I'm guessing if anything gets out of whack on that it's even more noticeable than it is on a prop that isn't as perfectly dialed in. I don't know, because I've never run it, but that would be my guess. So, and then, yeah, so that's for the single. So truck driver, if you're looking at the counter rotating props, and they were saying that they're working on that. They didn't have a prototype yet, but they said they were working on the Bravo and the Volvo DP drives. But I don't know. I don't remember if they said when that was going to be ready for prime time. But I mean, their story is they've got verifiable data from sources. I would say, yeah, that's legit data. That are saying, hey, look at the curves here, and they've got it for a number of different boats now. So anyway, yeah, it's for the right person. It's worth it. Or if you're just the guy that I've got to have the best of everything, the latest and greatest, and I'm a tech person that's on the leading edge, I would put myself in the laggard category. I'll say everybody else can test the new stuff. You give it to me when the prices come down and when it's 100% proven and all the bugs are worked out. I didn't get a smartphone. Like, smartphones have been out for a decade before I moved from my flip phone, because I was like, I don't need it. I'm fine. But so I might not be the best person to ask on new technology. So, all right, let's see. Where are we at here? To your spreadsheet data. So yeah, you've got get all that data coming from the vessel view. Now you can create it even more detail. She wants a yeah, good luck. Hey, get her on that 642. VessaView Mobile gives you all that data. Yeah. I can't imagine that Yamaha is not on that path. And as Brock said, they've got it to a certain extent, but he likes the Mercury better. Would you rather have a new $45,000 boat or a bigger or a nicer? So for me, like a 9i, I think that's what it is. I would go with a nicer, larger pre-owned boat. I buy used vehicles. I've got a 07 F-150, Lariat, super cab, 130,000 miles on it. It does everything I need it to do. I could care less if I pull in with the shiny one. Now, my wife, we bought a new Honda Odyssey minivan. She wants reliability. She's paranoid about breaking down with the kids when we got it. So we got the new with the full warranty. For me, I'm like, I don't need to spend that extra money. And if something happens, I can probably fix it, or I'm not worried about, I'm willing to take that risk, I guess is the right way to say it. I think the same way on boating. Now, Charlie, you bought a brand new boat. What was your thought process on?
That's what this one when I seen this question, this is the same question that's popped up before.
Yep.
Right up here. So the first question is, if both boats in this example would satisfy your requirements, your family size, your lifestyle, and usage. If the answer is yes, so you're matched with both of them. So now you're just considering bigger, better, or new. Now the challenge is, and this is something that you've preached several times, right? How many hours are on that motor? Doesn't matter. How many hours on this motor that are logged, taken care of, the wear and tear, the service. Has it been taken care of? You can have a 20-year-old motor that has 10 hours on it. Could be absolute junk because the grease.
And I've had people tell me that they bought that boat thinking it's 10 hours and it's only 6 months old, and it was a disaster. So yeah, it happens. Yeah. And it can.
So one of the things prior to even looking for boats, leased a brand new car. So my daughter had something to drive versus buying used for one reason. If something breaks while I'm making payments, it's on their dime. Same with something buying new. if something breaks, at least you have that warranty. And if you bought the extended coverages, you're at least going in the first season worry free. If the motor blows up out of the blue, it's on them. If you bought it used from the guy on Craigslist, you're kind of rolling the dice. Is this the guy? Your videos that you have gone through all the steps of the pros and cons of what you got to take into account. How much are you willing to risk? How much is the reward? So if they both meet your lifestyle, I would have leaned the opposite direction on your just going with newer, knowing that I may have some of the newer tech on board. So smart controls, something that built-in depth finder to tell me I'm going to bottom out, things of those natures to let me know versus something a little older. But now if you needed something because you have more family members and it's going to be a battle between family members going on, then I'm leaning more on because the lifestyle of the usage.
Yep. And I did a video. This was 3 years old. Should you buy new or used? And I go into there's a case for both. And I think it's a very personal decision and situational. If I was running, I also have the confidence that I can inspect most boats and I can rule out there's going to be an issue with 80% of them. Say, I feel confident about this. The other 20%, I could get a technician, and I would get up to about probably 95, 97% confidence that this is a good boat that I'm not going to have much issue with. If I'm a first-time boat buyer and I don't have my level of experience and the connections I have in the industry, and I'm spending my money, my mindset would probably be different because now I'm like, I can get to 50% confidence. I don't know a technician that I can trust that I could get much higher than that. So I think why I started creating these videos to a certain extent is to share some of that and help you get to maybe 75% confidence, pull compression, get a technician. You can trust most of them to do a good job. Hopefully with the information you find here, you can get to a very, very high level of confidence. But I also say, and I did this with my truck. I remember I told my neighbor, I just bought this truck. And he's like, well, good luck with it. And in my mind, I'm like, I test drove it. I did the research I needed to. Like, it's fine. But I'm like, wait a second, did I just make a stupid decision? And I'm like, no, it's fine. I've had it for, I don't know, 6 years now, and I've done basic maintenance stuff with it. I've got a great truck that is going to last me another 10 years if I take care of it.
And
on the boat side,
on the other side, non-boat related, looking at the price difference of the two types of boat. One, insurance. How is their insurance going to fluctuate? Sometimes you get a better break on a new boat versus a used boat. Also, a larger boat may have to carry a larger policy, which may adjust what you may be paying for a premium.
There's also cost of ownership because depending on what you're looking, if you're financing a portion of it, you may be able to get a better interest rate. I had this when I was selling boats. There was times when if they bought a new boat and put 10% down, their payment would be slightly less than if they bought a pre-owned boat where they had to put 10% down, but their interest rate was a half a point higher. And it was really interesting that there were times when the ownership cost, when all in, was going to be less on new versus used. But for me, I wouldn't have any problem buying a boat that's 10 years old, that's been well taken care of, that I've gone through and inspected. And instead of paying, let's take a 20, we'll do a 25-foot Cobalt. Okay. Brand new is going to be 120 grand. Okay. I could buy that 10 years old basically the same technology in the motor. There's some things, but it's for the most part they haven't made significant jumps. The hull is going to be very, very similar. That boat's been well taken care of. If that engine has been maintained properly and run properly, I can spend 50% or less and get essentially the same boat. Matter of fact, my friend Chris Jones just bought a 22-foot Chaparral in 07. And I was out on the water and I saw him cruise up and I said, Chris, if I didn't know what year that was, I would have thought that could have been a 2020 model because it looked nearly identical to the brand new Chaparrals. And he bought it from a reputable dealer. He followed all my advice, test drove it, and he paid, what was it, 30 grand for a boat new that would be 75 or 80 even. So I think if you're smart about it, but set aside some money just in case, because something's going to come up. Hopefully it's small. Hopefully you did a good job of getting rid of all the disasters and you found one that is going to have just a normal problem for a 5, 10, 20-year-old boat, and inspect it. So hopefully like a Nini, that's valuable. Let's see here. All right, that's the same question, different. All right, so we got that. If any other questions popped up after that conversation, Brock, slightly used, saved over 30 grand versus going new on the same boat. And this was just within the last 12 months that he had a Sportsman on order. 2022 it was going to be. They said, hey, prices are going up and it's going to be so long to get it. He found this boat that was 3 years older. Brock's been around boats since he was a kid, owns a boat already. This was his second one, to give him the ability to take his family out in the saltwater in Charleston area. Saved 30 grand versus going new, and it's the exact same boat. I mean, you wouldn't be able to, unless you looked at the hin and maybe the upholstery colors and maybe the gauges. Structurally, that boat is identical. And there's just a few cosmetic changes. That's the case for usually 5 to 7, even 10 years of models, because they don't change them like a car. They're going to run that same mold and that same design for 5 to 7 to maybe even up to 10 years before they say marketing says, hey, we got to refresh this. And now they send it through the process. They change it around and try to make it better. Sometimes they succeed. Sometimes they do something that they're like, oh, we got to fix that. So I also like a boat that's been 2-3 years in the production process. So now I know they've worked out all the kinks. They've got all the dumb stuff fixed in that third year. If I was going to go new. So, but there's personal preference to all that. The Kia versus the old Mercedes analogy. Yeah, it's let's see. It's pronounced Nini. Like a Nini. All right, good. So you're welcome for that. That was a fun question. That was a really good question that I would say every boater asked themselves that. Did you, Charlie, did you go through that thought process like you talked through?
Yep.
Yeah, I think everybody does. And money outside of it, even if you have the money that you're going to chunk down cash for it and you can do that, you still say, this is a toy. I don't need it. I'm only going to use it 10, 15, 20, 30 times a year, whatever that number is. It's irrelevant. You're going to say that to yourself. I'm only going to use it so often. Should I spend the 120 or should I spend the 70 or the 50 or the whatever it is? My father-in-law had the money. He likes new stuff. He gets a new car every year or two. Both he and his wife do, and it's, financially it's fine. It's a personal preference. He just likes new things. He likes to have the warranty. He likes to be able to call the dealer and say, hey, this is not right. I need you to come and fix it. He likes that part of it, and he likes the hands off. He should never buy a used boat. He would be miserable. He would be miserable the first time everything didn't work perfectly and he didn't have somebody to call that was concierge type service. For me, I'm stingy. I'd be like, I don't want to part with that money. I'll keep that money and I'll deal with those things. But it's a personality trait that I have, and it's that makes a difference too. So but I will say on the boat side of thing, I asked this question when I'm talking to somebody about what kind of boat should they buy. Should I get this brand or that brand? When that comes up, I'll ask the question, tell me about your car. What kind of car do you drive? As a matter of fact, in the toolkit that's in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, one of the questions is, what type of vehicle do you buy? New, leftover model year, slightly used, moderately used, or project vehicles? I think if you ask yourself that question, I think it leads you to probably the right choice in most situations, or at least to think about it. Because and then what category of vehicle do you buy? Best of the best, the fastest, the luxury, the newest, the one no one else owns, middle of the road, most practical, the best value, the cheapest possible, the leftover model years, are the good deals. I think if you ask yourself, that's the second, and you can get this for free if you just go to boaters, boatbuyerstoolkit.com, or just go to the website. There's a bunch of other like helpful questions and tips and prompts and things to lead you on the right path. But that's in step 1. I think that's step 1. No, that's step 2. Step 1 is budget, right, Charlie?
Yep.
Step 1 is budget. How much can I and still enjoy the lifestyle and the confidence and the relaxation of not being stressed that I have to run the boat. I have to do this. So anyway, all right. What are the main things to look for in a used boat? Are there any good videos on it? Like Anini, I'm glad you asked. We've got over 350 videos on the channel now. And if you go to the playlists, you can look at, are you a first-time center console buyer, a first-time pontoon buyer, and you'll find a playlist that suits you, and there'll be 5, 10, 20, 30 videos in that playlist, and then just watch the ones that are applicable to you. I think you'll have all the information you want. If you want it even more clear and concise and more details, how to negotiate, you can check out the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, which is this right here. You can go to firsttimeboatbuyer.com and check that out. But on the channel, there's just a ton of information to get you started for sure. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Before I even got a chance to answer. Oh crap, Charlie, we're over an hour now. So
amazing how quick time goes.
I know. I looked and I thought it just said a half hour. We were like 30 minutes in just 2 minutes ago. He's done quite a few videos on buying older boats. There you'll find a lot of information that will be helpful for you. Let's see. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up soon. One, because I have to use the restroom, but I will go through all the questions, and we'll do a quick. What am I going to do? Oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to quick do my commercials here. First Time Boat Buyer Academy. If you want just to walk you through it, the 7 steps, including how to negotiate and get the best deal. It's a lot of people have found that to be very, very valuable. Everything comes with the money back guarantee. If you don't like it, just you get your refund. I talked to a cop up in the DC area. He ended up buying my program twice because we had some technical difficulties. And I called him, talked to him while I was on vacation. I'm like, I'm going to refund you because you had a terrible experience. And he was a super nice guy and appreciative. Best boat captain on the water, best pontoon captain on the water, soon to have single engine outboard, soon to have jet boat, soon to have coastal confidence coming, trailer like a pro, tow water sports with confidence. You can check all those out at boatersecretweapon.com, bestboatcaptain.com, and trailerlikeapro.com. And you can get all those. Everything's got the money back guarantee. Just if you're not happy, just tell me, you get your money back. All right. So there's that. Picking up my Lund 2075 next Friday. Don't think I'm going to sleep this week. Now that's right there. That's boating. It's there's that Disney commercial that my brother he would always say. He would be like, "I'm too excited to sleep." That's this little girl going to Disney for the first time, and that feeling I think is perfect for that situation. Congratulations, Michael. That's awesome. Just buying slightly. Okay, so we did Brock. Buyer excitement or feeling well. Felt the same way when I picked up my first boat. It's it's an exciting. It's nerve-wracking if it's your first boat ever. There's 2 emotions. I think you've got the excitement of it's here, especially now. If it took a while to get that, it took a while for the motor to come in, and then there's what don't I know? Like, what are all the things I don't know? It's why we created the Boater Boot Camp. It's why we put these programs together. But check out those resources. Tap into, I don't know where you are for sure, Michael, but tap into your local boating community in some way or another, where it's Facebook groups, whether it's just walking the docks at the marina, chatting people up at the boat ramp, finding out where are the fish biting. If you're new to boating, are there any shoals that I should look out for? Are there no wake zones when the river's up above 80, above 80 or whatever it was that you said? What boating knowledge does the local boating community have that you should have in your head right away? Because it'll make everything easier and more fun and safer, and just a better experience all the way around.
And one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Videotape the introduction to your boat, because it's going to be a blur. You're so excited. They're going to go through it from bow to stern, and you're going to be driving home and go, "What did he say? Yeah. What?" It's just you'll be just videotape everything so you can look back and, okay, the battery switch is in the back compartment. I got to turn that. Remember, I got to turn it off. The blower cycle. Just videotape that. That's number 1 recommendation.
Yeah, that's a great one. I would have people do that when I delivered boat. It reminds me, I love stand-up comedy. There's a comedian named Nate Bargatze. He's got a bit where he talks about when they had their first baby. He said, every time I turned around, they were saying, "Don't shake the baby. Don't shake the baby." He said, we got home and the baby wasn't sleeping and crying and we were all crazy. He's like, "What did they say about the baby? Did they say shake the baby?" He's like, no, we didn't shake our baby. I promise we didn't shake it. But that's what it's like. They're going to tell you this, and they're going to say, "Well, Michael, we told you to do this every time," but you get so much information. You're so excited just to get on the water. You're exactly right, Charlie. It's a blur, and you can go back and watch that videotape, and you'll be glad. Even 2 years from now, you'll be like, "I think I remember something," and that it'll be on that little intro or that little walkthrough. What song, Loud or Quiet? I'm not sure what that is. Get a new car every other year. replace my RV every 4 to 5 years, warranties. Yeah, all of that, Brian, makes a difference. And Brian bought a brand new pontoon. That warranty, if that level of confidence, and Charlie, you're in the same situation, I think, from the way you explained it, is if that gives you the confidence to just be like, I don't have to worry about it for the next 5 years, whatever it is. I've got the dealer to support me. It's like I said, my tendency is to be cheap, and that's leads me to, hey, there's been times where I'm like, damn, that was the wrong decision. But I think it's a very personal choice, and I talk about both sides in that video. What do you prefer runabouts? Lots of power or lots of room? I'm going to go with enough power with room, because you never want to be underpowered. You'll be miserable no matter how perfect everything else is. If you get that, this is a common one, a 19 or 20 foot runabout with the 3.0 stern drive, or the 150. We'll say the 115 in that scenario. Say you save $3,000, but you're going to be miserable with the performance, especially when you put 6 people in it. You put 8 and you're going to be just sitting there. So yeah, I would, but lots of room. And even more important than room, I think, is the layout. My buddy's got a 24 and a half foot chaparral. And my father-in-law has a 25-foot Cobalt. There's one difference between the boats. They're both super nice boats. They run great. I run both of them at times, but the L-shaped seating on the chaparral is behind the helm. So when you're sitting, I'm 225. My wife is almost 6 foot tall. I'm not going to say what she weighs in case she listens to this and she beats me. And then my daughter's going to be on one side and my other daughter's going to be on the other. So we have 3 on one side and 1 on the other. And we always list just a little bit. Same motor. They both have Volvo dual props. The Cobalt L shape is on the other side. So I sit here. My wife loves her spot. My daughters are on each side. The boats balance perfectly. Those types of little things, you'll notice them on the demo ride. Now, my buddy that owns the boat, he's 5'7". His wife is teeny tiny. It doesn't matter to him, but with me and my wife and our family, it does matter. You put 200 pounds difference on each side, his family to my family, and it's going to ride different. So I think that matters too. Layout is something that I would consider. Now, that's why I say don't buy a boat until you run it first, because you'll never know that until you're in the water with the people that are going to be boating with you. You'll never. Charlie, what things did you discover on the boat, good or bad, that you didn't notice in the showroom? Anything jump out at you?
You just explained it right there perfectly. The lisping. I mean, my daughter with her friends on the boat, my wife on the boat. All of a sudden, they're all sitting on one side. It performs totally different. The boat, they're walking around trying to make sandwiches. The boat is just, rocking about, just with the movement. So on the showroom floor, you're walking on a boat that's solid on the ground. It ain't moving. You're thinking, mentally like a car. You can move around. It's totally different.
Yep. I also say, when I was selling boats, I would tell people this, is boats feel significantly smaller in the water than they do on the showroom floor. On the showroom floor, you're like, oh, there's plenty of room. You put it in the water and you're like, did this boat shrink? What's happened here? All of a sudden, it was great, but now we're tripping over each other. What's going on?
Yeah.
So, all right. Okay. We're an hour and 20 minutes into this. All right. So this is going to be the last one. Brian, thanks for coming on the live. Thanks for being a client and investing in the best pontoon captain. I appreciate it. And Brian happens to be from the same hometown as my wife. So we discovered that in some email conversations. The one thing that has me leaning towards this boat is it only has 136 hours. It's only been in fresh water. Yeah, that Daryl, let's see if I know what you were looking at. I don't think I know. There it is. Sportsman. I tell you what, if that Sportsman is a 2015 and it's only been in fresh water, that somewhat like a little mini unicorn, because that's a saltwater boat and freshwater is so much easier on everything, the upholstery, the gel coat, the motor, the electronics, the wiring, whether you're going to put it in saltwater or not. That boat's had an easier first 6 years of its life than most of them. I think that's definitely a good thing. Still check everything else out, but that's one check in the very, very good column for sure. So congratulations on that find. I hope that all works out for you. Charlie, thank you for joining me. This was worked out way better than I imagined. It was easy. It was good, fun conversation. I appreciate you adding your comments and sharing your experience. If anybody else is okay, Brock says his was the same thing, brackish one time. So maybe the unicorn, we'll say, I don't know what's less rare than a unicorn, but still pretty damn good. So if there's anybody else that would like to join, I don't know how many people I can put on this platform before it crashes, but I know I can do multiple guests. So this was kind of fun. We might do this every now and again. If you're interested, shoot me an email. If you're in the Ambassadors Club, I would love to have you join me and just like this, share your thoughts, share your experience, share your knowledge, ask your questions. There's value to having somebody like Charlie that's just recently gone through all of this. He has a different outlook on these answers than I do because I've been around it so much. At times I forget the little things that are important. So thank you guys all very much. Charlie, thank you. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you back next Sunday. And Brock, be safe on the rest of your drive home. All right, take care, everybody.